give y'all some game real quick, right? If it's a guy out here, right, or a female out here, right, that's always willing to talk about some shit that's not supposed to be talked about, always willing to say some names and pop some shit on the gram, they're going to be the same that's going to point you out and pop on the stand. Stay focused. You flew down in them planes from Atlanta with me. That's crazy, man. Yeah, tell me some black guys out here that's doing it. I heard you just got your own jet too, huh?
Y'all build up y'all brands copying my blueprint, and it's a fact.
I know it's a lot of emotions on both sides. I'm going to be fair to you as far as what you got to say. I'm going to allow you to get off whatever you need to get off.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Y'all know my slogan. I don't know it all, but I know what I've been through. Now, today, I want to talk about Tony the Closer, who is actually like a real estate guru, man. African-American dude. He definitely on top of his game when it comes to the real estate business. Yeah, Tony the Closer exposing GILLIE the Kid and Wallo from $1 Million Worth of Game podcast, along with HIM500. You know, the dude you see on Instagram a lot, you know, showing off his plane, cars, all that. And then tell you that he could fix your credit and give you tips on business and, you know, so forth, so forth. Now, before we get into this video, let this be a valuable lesson, y'all. Stop putting trust into these Instagram influencers all because they look lit and appear to be doing well in life. Because you never know what they have going on behind the scenes. Stop letting materialistic things taint your better judgment. Y'all see the cars, y'all see the jewelry, you see the houses, you see the Instagram followers, and you automatically think that any and everybody is living the best life, and they really not. It's usually all a facade, man. Now, when it comes to Tony and HIM500, they actually since squashed the beef, but that still don't take away from the things that Tony said about HIM500, and it was pretty harsh, you know. And once it hit the internet, you can't take it back. That's one thing. That's why I always urge people, do not bring your problems to the internet, because it's never going to get deleted, especially in today's day and age, man. And I'm not saying that all things he was saying was 100% true against HIM500. You'll never know. But this is why you must watch what you say, because like I said, you can't take it back. But anyway, let's get straight into it, y'all. But before we do, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell so you're notified every time we drop new content. Now, today I'll be covering a few that has since simmered down between Tony the Closer and HIM500, $1 Million Worth of Game podcast host GILLIE the King and Wallo 267. Now, Tony the Closer is an individual that's heavy in the real estate and made his mark in the wholesale real estate world. On the other hand, you have HIM500, who is also in the real estate, but more into the investment and credit specialist side of things. Both two African-American men that have found such success in the real estate world, but you know us, it can never be two of us shining because drama somehow finds itself into the forefront. Now, let's get into the accusations. It says here, Tony says he was a bridge between HIM500 and $1 Million Worth of Game podcast that consists of Wallo and GILLIE the King. And he said that he made the connection for HIM500 so he could help him expand his platform, being that Tony and GILLIE and Wallo already had a friendship. He said he got him to go on the platform for $50,000. Alright, now first and foremost, we're a little sidetracked. Let's get a little sidetracked. I didn't even know that's how much people were paying to get on that podcast. So let's say they get $50,000 a guest on top of endorsement checks and streaming checks from YouTube and other podcast platforms. Wow. No wonder they've been real corporate lately. They getting a whole lot of money. Now, he says Wallo and GILLIE goes to speak at an event that HIM500 had, and after HIM500 paid $50K to get on their platform, suddenly you started seeing all of his guys coming to $1 Million Worth of Game, and yeah, all of a sudden HIM500 and all his people was on the podcast. Now, I must agree that Tony was one of the first business influencers on $1 Million Worth of Game podcast, because during the whole pandemic, he's all you seen on their platform speaking knowledge on real estate and other business practices. So he's saying once HIM500 got on the show after him, after he made the connection between them happening, you see nothing but Atlanta dudes on $1 million worth of game, and Tony was not a part of the podcast at all. It's like they totally cut him out. Alright, so I'm assuming that he's a legend. Gillie and him stole his wave and ran with it as far as the event, or the business spotlight event, and they didn't allow him to benefit off it in any way, nor did they even include him or have him back on their platform. And that's maybe because they know what they did was wrong, and he seemed like he was a little hurt behind it, because he explained how he was loyal to Gillie, and last year for Gillie's birthday, he took Gillie to Mexico on a $40,000 tab. So what I get from this is, it's not about the money or the clout or none of that. He sounded more hurt than anything and betrayed. Alright, it seemed a little more deeper than them stealing his idea, because then he went on to express how Gillie and Wallo 267 actually helped his career as well by having him on their podcast. So he wasn't one-sided about it. He actually kept it real and still gave them their flowers. You know, you gotta respect that. Now, he then continued to bring up the Devin Wade, aka Dev Nasty guy. And he said Devin Wade tried to warn him about the bad business moves that they do behind the scenes, but he says that he wasn't going to judge him off that because everyone has their differences, so he gave them the benefit of the doubt. Now, quick history. Dev Nasty is the one that worked with Gillie the Kid and Wallo before their platform got as popular as it is now. He was the one that started in the trenches with them as like a kind of a third co-host, but he alleged that as soon as those big checks started rolling in and them endorsements, he demanded 15% of the company. Gillie declined him, and that quick he was fired from the show. Gillie then went on to say that he wasn't giving him 15% because he was just the quote-unquote sound guy. Now, however, Dev Nasty claimed that he was more than just a sound guy, and he even played third co-host at times and did more than what his job actually entitled him to do. Now, the story was touchy to me for a few reasons. One, I do believe that Dev did more than just be the sound guy, because it was times I would watch episodes back then and he was actually going back and forth with them and participate in the podcast as well as if he was a third host. But also, on the flip side of things, 15% of a company is a lot if you haven't contributed to it financially from the beginning, or put in any crazy footwork, making deals happen, you know, putting in the blood, sweat, and tears. You know, so whatever, something other than that showing up and being a part of the podcast, like as far as you just coming in and just speaking, nah, you gotta show me a little more than that if you want 15% of this podcast that me and, you know, Gillie, and, you know, I'm speaking like I was there. It's sort of like the Rory and Joe situation. I feel Joe was 100% wrong on not giving them a bigger piece of the pie, because they actually were co-hosts of the show, and each person brought their own personality to that podcast. Meaning you had people that watched the podcast for Joe, people that watched it for Rory, and people that watched it for Mal, however you want to say his name. But everything happened for a reason, and they ended up with their own podcast, and they seem to be doing pretty good. So, you know, everything happens for a reason, man. You just gotta sit back and, you know, play your part. Anyway, back to the story. He went on to say that they had no loyalty and claimed that HIM500 and other business advisors continue to follow everything he does, such as buying Lambos, doing the beatbox challenge, and just overall copying the blueprint from him. He went on to say that he's not the only one that HIM500 has had bad business with, but the NFL star Des Bryant from the Ravens, we pretty much know him from the Cowboys, but he's on the Ravens now, has also had a bad experience with HIM500 when it comes to business as well. So it's looking like HIM500 is paying an illusion to appear to the masses like he's getting it and he's doing fair business, but in the background amongst his peers, he's really doing shady business and he's frowned upon. So to us, he's looked like he's winning, but in the dark, it's a total different story. But remember, y'all, all these are allegations. All right? Don't take my word from it. Don't take his word from it, because, you know, at the end of the day, they squashed it. And I actually like both of these dudes, and I think they're both contributing to the help uplift the culture. And I'm glad they actually squashed it, because we don't need to see two successful black men going back and forth. We should be learning the right way to do things instead of the regular beefing and going after each other way. All right. However, like I said, you don't know what's going on. There's always three sides to a story: his side, and then it's the truth. But anyway, it got a little intense when Tony called HIM500 a scammer and started aiming at HIM500's business tactics, such as the credit sweep offer that HIM500 provide. He says this, quote, "Ain't no financial literacy N-word gonna help you do a credit sweep on your report to illegally go lie to a bank committing bank fraud in order for them to go back and re-sign up for funding in your program, selling you overpriced trade lines in order for you to scam the bank." Yikes. So he pretty much just gave up HIM500 whole source, to be honest with you. If anyone wanted to know how he's doing what he's doing, there you go. And I want to comment on something, because after he said that, you had people saying he's quote unquote snitching and blah blah. First of all, understand this: in business, there's no such thing as snitching. That's a street mentality. Snitching isn't involved in the corporate world. He says that HIM500 have people sending out identity theft affidavits left and right, knowing they didn't have any, and that is in fact very much illegal. All right. So before you say he's snitching, understand that the client he's quote unquote helping runs the risk of getting in trouble more and never really fixing their debt. Or because they thought that this man that acted like he was trying to help really was just taking their money to do something illegal that can put them in more debt than they're already in. All right. And not to mention, those actions can land someone in trouble. And speaking of trouble, Tony also included that he's been in contact with the same bank that HIM500 used, and they made him aware that HIM500 and his company has the highest fraud rate that they've ever seen, allegedly. I'm gonna say allegedly because we don't know, but that's what he's saying. He said he had fraud chargebacks and $2 million in fraud chargeback holds, allegedly. Now, I must say, if there's any truth to that, that's pretty crazy, because that's a lot of money in frozen chargebacks. All right. Pretty much that means their whole company is based off of shady business and they're just dealing with it off the back end. All right. That's pretty much scammer vibes to me. 7% or more in fraud charges is a lot. All right, now fast forward to earlier. These guys actually went live via Instagram, and like men, they squashed the beef. But after doing so, Gillie threw some little subliminals in the video of him driving around saying this, quote, "If it's an N-word out here, right, or female out here, right, that's always talking about some stuff that's not supposed to be talked about, always willing to say some names and pop some ish on the gram, they're going to be the same one to point you out and pop that ish on the stand. Stay focused, stay rats," end quote. Now, a lot of y'all, I don't know if y'all know about Gillie the King. I call him Gillie the Kid because that was his original name. I guess he changed it to be a little more, you know, political. But at the same time, Gillie, he comes from a background. He used to rap. He used to actually write songs for Lil Wayne, and he come from Philly. So, you know, he's pretty much in tune with the streets. My thing is this: that's the difference. Tony, he doesn't really look like he's too much about the streets, whereas Gillie is. So the thing is, that's the disconnect, because Gillie's taking it the street way, not knowing that that's not what you do in business. Guys in business usually call guys out a lot of times when they can't reach out to them personally for whatever reason. Now, I don't know why Tony decided to go mainstream with it and put all the business out there, but maybe he was fed up, and he did express that nobody's reaching back out to him. So I could kind of understand why he did that, because in doing what he did, he actually got their attention. All right. Now, after seeing HIM500 and Tony talk and squash their beef, it's clear that their beef wasn't with each other, and Tony beef is actually with Gillie the King and Wallo. All right, moral of the story is he's accusing Gillie and Wallo of stealing his business spotlight idea and excluding him out of the event when it was actually his idea. Now, it's clear that HIM500 was just a middleman and just seen an opportunity to make some money and said, let's go. Now, however, me personally, I don't care if we squash the beef. I can never get too close to anybody who exposed my business to the world, calling me a scammer and potentially putting a dent in my business and stop food from going in my children's mouth. On top of calling me the B word, a vagina, inviting me to fight, and all type of things. I just can't trust you. I can't do it. All right. I believe in paying attention to what people say about you when they're angry or drunk, because that's when the truth actually usually comes out. All right. Now, like I said, it's impossible to trust somebody after that. So I know they squashed the beef, but I doubt they'll be doing business together. But let's see. We never know what the future holds. Like I said, I'm glad these guys squashed the beef. I don't want to see two successful black men warring against each other. It's too much money in the world, and they're both blessed. All right, and this is what the higher ups want, man. They don't want us unified. But nonetheless, let me know how y'all feel about the situation. Is GILLIE and WALLO wrong for doing an event and not including Tony after it was his idea? Or it is what it is. You don't put your business out there and let people run with it. Because we all know once you put an idea out there, man, it could be your closest friend, it could be a relative. If it sounds lucrative enough, they're going to run with it, especially if you can make some money off it. And that's what it seems like happened here. Instead of using Tony, they used HIM500 for the business idea and probably collected more off the top, because they know they probably would have had to give Tony more because it was his idea. So they excluded him out and got somebody else that's a little business savvy and took their money off the top. Alright, so let me know how y'all feel about it in the comment box below, man. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell so you're notified every time we drop new content. And remember, as long as you keep on watching, I'm going to keep on dropping. And I'm out.